Hey, welcome back, everybody. My name is Chris Anselmo. You're listening to The Road to Retirement with myself and Tony Shore, our co-host. How you doing, Tony?
Doing great today, Chris.
Good.
Great day. Great to be here with you. You know, I love hanging out with you each week on the show. I
Yeah,
look forward to
it's good.
your wit and your wisdom. And congratulations, I think, are in order. If our listeners and viewers out there aren't aware, you're looking at Chris Anselmo, the MVP of the softball championship, right there.
Yeah, well, it was only it's a 50 and older league, so don't get crazy. But yeah, it was good. We had a little
Yeah.
tournament. It was kind of fun.
Oh,
Um,
good.
yeah. So today we are going to talk about a book we released in 2020, and if you could see it, it's called Hindsight. What would I have done differently? So, I'm just going to go over the chapters, and I got a little. I'm going to try and share the screen again, so that's
Well,
on.
hindsight is 2020,
Yeah,
Chris, and so
and it came out,
especially
and it came out in 2020. Believe it or not.
really, that's
Yeah.
hilarious. Is that the
So
date on the cover or part of the title?
part of the
2020.
20. Yeah.
I love it.
So the premise of the book was we sent out questionnaires, whatever you want to call them, to probably about 1,500 clients and asked them, what would you tell the next generation if you had
Right.
10 years before you retired, 5 years before you retired, 1 year before you retired? What would you do? Positive things, negative things, just, some of the stuff that came out of it was really exciting. Some of it was sad. I don't have any friends left, and
Oh,
I didn't get, I worked so much. I didn't learn any hobbies. I didn't learn how to golf. I didn't learn how to do this. So, but I thought we'd share some of them with you. So I did just a little outline here. Let's see if can you see that, Tony?
yep, I sure can. And I know, Chris, just to set this up for our listeners out there, you when people first come to you they come to you as a financial professional, a financial services provider, in your many roles, whether it's a tax, a professional, estate planning, and financial advisor, retirement planner. A lot of people say, "Oh, I wish I would have done this."
Softball coach, golf coach.
Yes, just coach in general,
Yeah.
life coach. But I wish I would have done this with my money, or I wish I would have
Yeah.
started this earlier.
Yeah.
I wish I would have known this 20 years ago. And it's like the phrase, and I always say this: the best time to plant a tree, when is it? 20 years ago.
You're right.
Best
Yeah.
time to plant a
I
tree
mean,
is 20 years ago.
I've
But
thought
when's
about,
the second best time? Today,
yeah.
right?
So because I was telling my wife, like, I think I'd like to plant a fruit tree in the backyard.
Oh,
She says, yeah, when you're 90, we'll have fruit, but yeah,
yeah. You gotta the best time to plant that tree, Chris, was 20 years ago.
yeah,
But
well,
the second best time is today. Make it
yeah,
happen, right?
like that. Yeah.
So these hindsight is 2020. How would we have done it differently? And
Yeah.
I think it's great that you surveyed the people you work with and meet with to say, hey, what do
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
wish you
Because
had
it,
done?
it was a different perspective than what we would just think, right? As the
Well, sure.
advisors.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the numbers up there are actually chapters in the book. And
Oh,
so
okay.
the first chapter, which overwhelmingly was the number one response, was save more, save earlier,
Sure.
because they didn't
Makes sense.
realize how expensive retirement would be, right?
Right.
So, people are used to getting a paycheck every day, every week, 2 weeks, whatever. And when that paycheck stops, well, it's a new experience.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it is.
and we had some of the quotes in there from people. Like the first one was, "You're never too young to start saving for retirement," which is good. So that was it. So I'm going to try and read some of the comments of the clients in here. Um, Retirement life is hard if you haven't saved enough money. So, a lot of I don't know, a lot of us, maybe yourselves. Look, I don't watch every penny. Like my wife and I aren't spenders, so I know we're never going to bounce a check, right? But um, in retirement, when the income stops, and maybe you just have Social Security coming in because a lot of people don't have pensions anymore, right? So you have to be a little more mindful of spending. And I always have a saying that people think they're going to spend less in retirement, but for most of us, we're working Monday through Friday,
Right.
and we spend our money on Saturdays and Sundays. When you're retired, it's 6 Saturdays and a Sunday.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you get
Every
you
day is a
yeah,
Saturday in
every day's
retirement.
yeah, so,
And
what
that's
else?
when do you spend the most money now? Saturdays,
Yeah.
probably,
So,
weekends.
one other comment was save more money. I mean, they put save more money. 10 years ahead is too late,
Wow.
right? And they're probably right. I mean, like, we've had clients wanna save for kids' college education, and their kids are 15.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you needed to start saving when they were 2 or 3, right? So,
Yeah.
I wish we had saved more. Everything keeps costing more. And the other one was
Inflation.
maximize all saving opportunities, including company matches. So you know plenty of people that have some type of 401k, 403b, whatever, and they don't participate in it because they're, I don't know, procrastinating or too lazy, and they're giving up. The company's matching 3 to 5% or whatever. So that's free money. So if you put in,
Yeah.
you put in 5%, they put in 5%. That's free money.
Yeah. Well, and my daughter, who is an accounting major at a pretty good
Can
school
I
here
can I talk her out of it?
in the cities, the three biggest accounting firms, they're national firms, but the three biggies here,
Yeah.
she interviewed for an internship with them next year. She had an internship with
Right.
CBiz this year, and now
Oh
she's
yeah.
going to have an internship with I don't know, so the three big companies, even bigger than CBiz, I guess. But one company, the starting wage for the internship was at one $30 an hour. The next one was 32, and the last one she interviewed with, they offered her $32 an hour, and this is for a summer internship with a possible commitment to
Yeah.
work there
I mean,
after she
yeah,
graduates.
that's 60
And
grand a
she
year.
yeah, and 1,000, this third one, $1,000 sign-on bonus just for the internship,
Yeah,
plus
that's
the
nice.
$33. But here's the kicker, they'll give her a 401k with 6% match.
Wow.
And I said, "Take it."
Yeah,
Do the
yeah,
6%
yeah.
match. But you
So
gotta put in enough. She goes, "Oh, 6% match, that's good." And I go, "But you have to put in enough to get it." And she goes, "What do you mean? I don't just, you
yeah,
know."
it's a match.
Yeah, you have to put in that much to get that much
Right.
it put in, and she's like, "Oh, yeah, yeah," and so, we'll see, but it's that position they want her doing is not as much as the one who pays only $30, but the benefits over here, that
Yeah,
match is
yeah.
really,
Yeah,
appealing.
and similar, like, when I went to law school, I worked for one of the big 8 accounting firms, and they wanted me to work part-time, but they said, "Look, if you can work 8 more hours a week instead of 32 hours, 40 hours, we have a program that will help pay for your law school." So I'm like, "Okay." And healthcare. So I'm like,
Yeah,
"Okay, I'm in."
yeah.
Right? So
Well,
you
sure,
gotta take advantages of things like that,
yeah,
because, I came out of law school, then I didn't have any debt. So it
yeah.
was nice. So
But the match, but, to get
yeah,
back to your point, that's one thing a lot of people wish, I am one that in hindsight, had I started taking it, when I got my first full-time job, people my age never even put money into 401ks, at least
right,
most of
right.
them, in their 20s. So when I got my first full-time job, I wish I'd put money in, let alone put enough in to get that match that's free money.
Yeah.
Had I done that, you know,
Well,
I could just
I might not be talking to you.
no, you would be.
So
You would be, but, I would, probably just talk to you and then, hang out the rest of the week.
So this second chapter, practice being retired. The leading quote was, "Try living on retirement income before you have to." That was good advice. So, if you again,
That's really
if you're
good.
used to making $1,000 a week or $1,500 a week, and now you're only making 700, can can your monthly expense? Can you pay your monthly expenses? Or are you going to have to dip into to your savings? So
So
that would
practice being
yeah,
retired.
practice and take time to make a retirement wish list. What do you really want to do? You know, I'm hoping my retirement, when I get there, will be a lot of traveling. Right. And I see a lot of times people don't travel either because they don't have the money or their health gets bad. And
Yeah.
so we went on a trip years ago with the kids, and we went to Italy. And one of the things I took back from that was there was a lot of people on the bus that didn't get off the bus to see the sights because they were let's use the wrong word, too old, but I mean, they couldn't walk and go up the steps and all that kind of stuff. So they waited too long to enjoy this. So I always tell people, look, when you retire, you got maybe 15 good years health wise. So 65, maybe to 80. Go do all your stuff. So
Yeah.
sooner the better. Okay. Chapter 3, investment and risk tolerance was we
Hmm.
were in pretty good shape financially until we lost half of our retirement savings in a market downturn. So we've talked about
Yikes.
it on other show. That's one of the things you want from your financial planner is to moderate your risk, right? When you were working, you were taking on more risk because you had a paycheck every week, right? So if you lost a little bit in the stock market, doesn't matter because you had a paycheck. But
Even
once
if
the
you
pay,
lost a lot in
yeah,
even, if you're in your 20s and
yeah,
or 30s and you have a year like 2022 or even your
yeah,
40s, you have time to recover before
yeah,
you're going to need the money in that market for income. So you can just let it ride and keep buying more when the market's down, and you'll make that up and more.
yeah,
But as you get older, what you're saying
right.
is, as you get older, you've got to take less risk like that,
Yeah,
right?
I generally tell people when they're about to retire, there's only two things that are muck up your retirement. One is you get ill, right?
Right.
And
Obviously,
and
that's a biggie.
two, and two, you lose a bunch of money in the stock market. I mean, those are the two that are going to crush you in retirement. So you got to be careful on how you invest your money. The traditional way of just 60-40 stocks and bonds, that's out the window these days.
Yeah.
So you got to get in and talk to your investment advisor. Hopefully it's us. If not, and by the way, we are going to have a secret code word later in the broadcast.
Oh,
And if the listeners call in with their code word, we are giving away a $100 gift certificate to one of the local grocery stores. I don't know how many we're giving away. That's up to Aaron, but I don't know. So we'll tell you the secret code word later, and if you call in with it,
let me get a pen
I,
and paper because
yeah,
I'm gonna
well, I'm not going to tell it to you
want
now.
to write.
and
Well,
Tony,
I'm not
Tony,
eligible.
you're not
Yeah.
eligible.
Shoot. I know that's right.
Okay, number 4, life insurance and debt. So the leading quote there was, "Don't carry any debts into retirement. Get rid of your credit card. Look, it's okay to use credit cards as long as you pay them off every month, right? But don't carry credit card. Maybe you have a car loan, but you want to get that mortgage paid off if you haven't paid it off yet. Um, but don't carry debts into retirement because that's just one more monthly expense that you don't need, right? Um,
Right. I
life,
get the debt thing. You don't
yeah.
want to carry debt, but you were just about to address it. What about life insurance? What?
So if you have life insurance, it might be time for a checkup because life insurance, believe it or not, over the years has gotten cheaper. So you might be able to buy more life insurance with the same amount of money that you have, or we can convert an old policy to a new one and get you more coverage. The other thing is you want to do it before your health changes because you can't just buy life insurance with money. You have to be healthy. Like, you can't wreck the car and then call Allstate and say, "Hey, could
Yeah.
you insure this car?" So same thing with life insurance. You may want life insurance for a few things. Maybe you still have a mortgage on the house and you're concerned that if I die, my wife needs to pay off this mortgage. You have some debts out there. Now, debts are okay if there are reasonable. Like when we built our house, we got a really good rate at like 2.5%, right? Like I
Yeah.
could
It's
pay, I
huge.
could, I could pay off the house, but why would I pay off the house at 2.5%, right? So stuff like that. So maybe you'd
Yeah.
want
When
life
you can
insurance,
invest the money and
right?
make way more than that, it's crazy to use that money then
Right.
to pay
So,
off a.
so, and then sometimes people use life insurance because they don't want to burden the kids with the funeral expenses and stuff like that. So maybe they have a small policy for $25,000 and say, "Look, if something happens here, you can at least bury us, and here's a little bit of money," right? So, looking at that before your health changes and you can't get life insurance. 5 is strategizing your retirement. So make a plan and work the plan. Um, most people, again, if you were employees used to a paycheck, that was your strategy, right? Like just don't bounce a check, pay all the bills, and we'll be okay. So in retirement, that's going to look a little different, and you may need help. Look, I have a saying: you retire once, we retire every day. So you may need a little help from a professional saying, what's this going to look like? Like that you've never been through it. We've been through it with thousands of clients. So how do you strategize your retirement? So that was part of it. 6 was Social Security planning. We've talked about this a lot in other shows, and maybe we'll have another
Yep.
show because we haven't talked about it in a while, but don't start Social Security too early. That was one of the comments. We talked about, everyone knows you can start at 62, but that's the smallest check. And you can wait to 70, which is the largest check, but somewhere in the middle, like if you wait to 70, it's the largest check, but you get less checks, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so you have to figure out when's the perfect time. We have
What's the
software.
sweet spot for
Yeah.
you? And everybody's situation is different, right?
Right. And yeah, it depends on how old you are and your spouse is and things like that. And we have some proprietary software that we go through and it creates a really slick report. And whether or not you actually do what the report says, that's not that's not the main thing. It's just giving you the information so you can take your choices. Well, I want to do the best or I want to do the second best, whatever. So, um, and one comment was so important to realize how many things are impacted when you start to collect Social Security benefits.
Mm.
Like now that I'm collecting Social Security benefits and retirement benefits, some of my Social Security is getting taxed. The more money I take out of my IRA, more of my Social Security is getting taxed. And also about Medicare, if you make a certain, there's a phase out of Medicare that if you make a certain amount of money, you have to pay more for your Medicare. So we want to
Hmm.
keep that income under those limits. I don't I understand it, but I don't understand it, if that makes sense. I understand they want to tax you more, but I don't understand why someone has to pay for more for Medicare when they're getting the same Medicare. Like if we go to the pump and pump the same gasoline, should you pay more than I pay? I mean,
No.
right? I mean, so why should one person pay more for Medicare and get the same exact benefits than somebody else? I mean, that's beyond our pay grade, but maybe you can talk to your senators about that. So, okay, the number 7. This was the big one. Healthcare. Retired at age 62 and had to fund medical insurance until Medicare kicked in at 65. This was a very expensive mistake. So
Mm.
now some people retire early because either health reasons they have to, or maybe they're just downsized and they want to get out. But realize that Medicare doesn't kick in till 65. So you may have to fund health insurance for you and your spouse for
A
at least
long
3 years, right?
Yeah.
So 3 years is, it's probably $1,500 a month.
Yeah, it's outrageously
Yeah.
expensive. I
Yeah.
mean, it's as much as some people's house notes. So,
Yeah. Yeah. The other one on
that's
that was
crazy.
couldn't believe how complicated the puzzle of healthcare options is. So,
It is complicated.
yeah, there's so many plans out there, and especially with the Medicare supplements, we talked about it in other shows. There's the traditional plans with the regular supplements, and then there's these Medicaid Advantage plans. The ones you see all the TV commercials for with Jimmy Walker and Joe Namath and all them guys.
Yeah.
And we have someone here, Tony Marlette, our other Tony. He does most of that stuff for our clients, so he'll weigh the options for you, and you pick whichever one's best for you. One's not necessarily better than another one, but it needs to fit into your budget, right? Okay, so an honest budget. Need to make sure you have you're not going to outlive your income. So a lot of people, again, if you were you're, as we call them, check cashers, and you knew, look, we never bounced a check. We're paying our bills, we're feeding our kids, and everything was okay. Now in retirement, that could change. You may have this $1,500 a month cost for your insurance, right? So before you even got on Medicare, and health is going to cost a little more. You got 6 Saturdays and a Sunday now, so you're going to cost a little more. Instead of golfing one day a week, you may be golfing 3 days a week. So, an honest budget. When you go on a plan a vacation, you say the vacation is going to cost $1,500, and you come back and say, "Boy, we spent $5,000."
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and
you know,
that's not good.
yeah.
Yeah, if
So
you're that far off, I like the honest part. You
yeah,
need to be honest with yourself about what you're actually spending and the potential costs. You need to actually I know people they shy away from the term budget. Nobody likes to sit
yeah,
down and do that, but boy, I'll tell you what, the reward is so good. It feels so good to do it, to know where you're at and what you need,
yeah.
doesn't it?
Like you said, that the word budget has a negative connotation.
The B word,
Maybe
it's a dirty word.
maybe better call it a spending plan or a
Yes,
living plan or something like that.
spending plan. I like
Um,
that.
because nobody like I'm an accountant and nobody like I don't even like the budget, right? I mean, it's just
Yeah.
tedious and you're not like you're not, there are some people in the world that will write down every penny they spend, but I think that's just too much stress in your life, right?
Yeah.
So, um, the next one, which falls into that, is creating retirement income plan. So, how do you create this plan to use a professional? So the quote here from Janice was, "So glad we made a plan. It's crucial for our worry-free retirement." So
Hmm.
they went through and said, "Look, we want to travel. We want to take 2 trips a year. We want to go here and there. So how much is the airplane's going to cost? How much hotel's going to cost? All that kind of stuff. Whatever in monthly." So at least you have some gauge of whether or not you'll be able to do it.
And
And
that's where you really come in as a financial planner
right,
and a financial advisor to create a retirement income plan because most people will retire with lump sums like 401ks,
right.
IRAs. And then how do you turn that into a steady monthly income that you know will last as long as you do?
And
And
and there's nothing wrong with spending some of your principal. People are like, "Oh, I don't want to touch the principal because I'm going to leave it to my kids." Like, but you didn't retire to sit in the house and watch TV all day. Like you
yeah,
retired
yeah,
to go do stuff, right? So if you leave your kids a little bit less, like they can make their own money, right?
right.
Um, so retirement income plan, taxes and annuities. So and one of the quotes was annuities can protect retirement savings, and we've talked about that in a lot of shows, which it can. So there's a lot of annuities that just basically pay interest, and you don't have any market risk. So we might use that for, when we talked about how to look at your portfolio and take a little bit less risk. And taxes were how my total taxable in how my total taxable income, including capital gains, can impact the cost of Medicare. So we just mentioned that a little bit earlier. So for you listeners out there, Medicare has a taxable limit. Once you go over, you may be paying $400 a month for your Medicare because you went over by $5,000. So you want to be careful, and sometimes we can use annuities, which are what's called tax deferred. So you're earning the interest, but you're not paying tax on it until you actually take it out. So
Right.
you have a little more control over that versus when you're in a mutual funds and they're throwing off a bunch of capital gains and things like that. You don't have any control over. Um, it could cost you more in Medicare.
Sure.
Getting close to time, so let's go through these pretty quick. Leaving a legacy. You know, what are you going to do about your family? We talked numerous times about getting the proper
Estate
documentation in place,
planning.
estate planning,
Yep.
and a critical one here is also nursing home planning, because you could spend it all in a nursing home and not leave a legacy at all. So, and sometimes people have second marriages and separate kids, and so oftentimes we might say, hey, maybe we'll get some life insurance for her other kids. So look, they're taken care of. So you can give everything else to the mom. That's part of the planning, because there's a lot of marriage, like more than half the marriages end in divorce today. So it's not uncommon that there's, lack of a better word, mixed marriages. So mixed marriage would be, you got your kids, she's got her kids, and how do we, if I like we've had people like the husband dies first and the wife's in the next day changing the will, right? So not a lot of times, but it's happened, right? So and she never liked his kids, and so I'm leaving it all to my kids, that type of stuff. So planning about how you're going to handle your legacy, or maybe you just like one of those bumper stickers says, I'm spending it all, right? I'm spending my kids' inheritances. So um, 12 was working with the right people. Hopefully it's us, but take the time to learn and find a financial advisor who you can trust. So our secret word for the day is one-stop advisors.
Huh.
So this is like Bet Your Life. You ever see the Bet Your Life show? The
Yeah.
one stop advisors is the secret word for today. So as you know, our firm has four companies: tax, insurance, investments, and the law firm. So, but you really would need to work with someone you trust, and that is not a one trick pony. Because again, if you go to the apple orchard for your planning, all you're getting is apples, right? Red, green, or yellow. You need somebody who can give you the whole cornucopia. So. Um, Surprises in retirement. Healthcare costs just keep going up. Yeah. Other surprises were emotional issues like loneliness. I didn't learn any hobbies. I didn't happen to my dad. My dad probably worked 60, 70 hours a week every week forever. And, he might have learned how to bowl or something, but he never learned how to golf. He outlived a lot of his friends. I mean, what are the things that you would do? Didn't travel much, but and then got sick at the end and got ill. And I mean, you couldn't do that. So, um, spend more time with family. Join some social groups to keep your mind fresh. Surprises in retirement really is cost of Medicare is the big one, and finding things to do. So, in that other comment earlier was practice being retired for a while. Like, what are you going to do on Wednesdays? I go to lunch 3 times a week with some older people, and like, what are you doing today? Nothing. What are you doing tomorrow? Nothing. Right. So, try and plan your retirement and map it out. And again, get it done early, because as you get older, maybe your body's going to give in and you're not going to be able to do the things you do. And the number one is expenses. Like, as you know, expenses with inflation are always going up. When we got out of college as accounting majors, to speak, we were hoping to get $500 a week, $26,000, 25 to 30,000. That was a good job. And now it's double that, right?
Right.
It's the same accounting. 2 plus 2 is still 4, but you have to pay more because everything costs more. So,
Yeah.
so the next one was what's next? I don't know if you see the 14. It said, now what? So
Now what?
what
Yeah.
is you got to get with your advisor and find one you can trust, find one who's a complete advisor. Hopefully it's us. Again, if anyone calls in and gives us a secret word, One Stop Advisors, they'll get $100 gift card. And if you want,
Wow.
we will send you a copy of our book. I'm not sure how many more we have of these, because it's 3 years old already. But till we run out, you're welcome to have one. So
That's awesome. Well, great show today. And remember, One Stop Advisors.
okay, Tony, I think we're about out of time, and
Yep.
I will see you again next week. So thanks for hosting the show, and take us out.
All right. Thanks, Chris. And listeners, that does it for today's episode of Road to Retirement with our host, Chris Anselmo.
See you next week.
See ya.